it's Sarah from iBest, and today we're going to talk a little bit about U.S. history. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 4. In this chapter, there is a large emphasis on the way that different countries start to fight over power and wealth due to a new economic theory called mercantilism. Mercantilism is an economic theory that theorizes that a nation's power is congruent with the amount of wealth they have, meaning the amount of materials. Now, before we get into the chapter, let's look at some questions that we need to keep in mind. What impact did mercantilism have on the establishment of the colonies? What were the repercussions of the Spanish Armada losing to England? What challenges did the first settlers in Jamestown face? And can you explain the system of indentured servitude? Let's find out. The Atlantic world opens. Many people believe that the reason people started to go to the Americas for wealth, power, and riches is because of the defeat of the Spanish Armada. There was once a time that the Spanish Armada was the top of the food chain when it came to anything related to America. But Philip of Spain got a little bit too greedy. There was a time where he sent a fleet of about 130 ships to conquer England. But England, on their own very channel, defeated them and sent a message to the entire world. The Americas are open. A fierce competition for the land in the Americas thus began between the European countries. However, the land was not unoccupied. When an English expedition led to the founding of a colony on Roanoke Island, settlers were met with extreme hardship. Contrary to their beliefs of wealth and riches in the Americas, whenever they landed on Roanoke, they noticed that the water was dirty and undrinkable. The summers were humid and the winters were bitterly cold. The island was full with disease-carrying mosquitoes, and the search for gold came out fruitless. Due to these extreme conditions, the leader of the colony, John White, decided to travel back to England. However, due to an attack by the Spanish Armada, he could not return for 3 entire years. Now, this is the really mysterious part. This part has stumped historians for centuries. When he returned, there were no remains of the settlers. Only their encampment had survived and a mysterious word on a tree. It said Croatoan. Some people believe that it was the work of the indigenous people. Some people believe that it was the work of mysterious gods. We still don't know, and we're still researching about it. Over the years, several different colonies settled in the Americas and continued to have a difficult time. They called this the starving time. Over this period of time, indigenous communities such as the Powhatan villages decided to help the colonists. However, the colonists decided to repay them with stealing their food, burning down their villages, and pillaging their people. This led to the Anglo-Powhatan War. Colonists finally began to prosper after creating a system of indentured servitude. Now, what is indentured servitude? Indentured is a word that describes someone that is under contract for labor. Servitude is the promise of serving a master. This was a system that influenced poor white citizens of England to come over to the Americas in hopes of receiving land after 4 to 7 years of hard labor. However, due to poor nutrition and conditions, 50% of the indentured servants, along with the slaves, died before they succeeded. Alright, now that you've received a little bit of information, do you feel like you can answer these questions? First of all, what impact did mercantilism have on the establishment of the colonies? It began a fierce competition between European countries to set up land in the Americas. What were the repercussions of the Spanish Armada losing to England? It caused the Spanish to lose their title as a world power and allow different European countries to expand to the Americas. What challenges did the first settlers in Jamestown face? The lack of resources, the lack of clean drinking water, and the abundance of disease-carrying mosquitoes caused most of the settlers to, unfortunately, pass away. And last but not least, explain the system of indentured servitude. Poor English settlers came to the Americas in order to go through hard labor for 4 to 7 years until their contract ended, where they would receive land. After taking my class, it seems a little bit easier to answer, right? Thank you for joining me, and I hope you learned something.